Hey, Goldfinger, how you doing? Is everything working okay? So far, it looks like we might be able to get through the whole session without any blow-ups. Ah, hey, Goldfinger, since you're the first one, at least I can see, what would you like to talk about watches today? Can you hear me okay? I mean, is the sound and video working? Hi, Ilko, how you doing? Oh, just relaxing. Okay. Sound and video is good. Thanks, Ilko. Hi, Jose. How you doing? What do you guys want to talk about today about watches? Anything in on that you got on your mind? Say this is something we ought to talk about. So let's talk about it. You're thinking. I try to see these. I'm trying to make some things come up. Hey, Brian, how you doing? I've been trying to squeeze a topic out of these guys. So we got to have something to talk about. In the meantime, I'll be trying to get it to do, to go up. It's really funny. Boop, 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 boop. It's not working today. Everything else is. It seems like we got good stream. We're not having any kind of hold up. Ah, here we go. How about an alternative to FPJ Chronometre Blue that's affordable? Yeah, I have. Brian, when I'm not looking at anything, hey, that's a great topic. What about an alternative to an FP Journe Chronometre Blue? Here's one. Now, the Chronometre Blue is like my Chronometre Survein. The difference is that the blue doesn't have a power reserve indicator and it's made of titanium rather than platinum or gold. So an alternative would be, and it has a two barrels, double barrels in parallel. So I would suggest watches that would be close to that would be an ETN, a Schwartz ETN. Now I'd have to figure out exactly which one it is. I know um, the blue is hand wound. The ETN Schwartz ETN. I'm trying to think which one it is. They have the one that's hand wound model with the dual barrels. They have a specific name for it, and I'm not sure what it is for that. So that would be my first alternative to an FP Journe Chrononet Blue because it's like there are a lot of relatively inexpensive ones, but something to replace the blue or a substitute for it, that might be a good one. Hey, you doing, Mark? Tuna, good to see you. What other topics could we kick around today? I the I better be careful. Everything seems to be working all right. It seems that once you get in the middle of one of these talks, it starts getting all kinds of weird things that happen. Hey Ed, how are you? How you doing, man? We're trying to come up with some more topics. The first one that Ilko had was what would be a good substitute for the Chronomet Blue, FP Journe Chronomet Blue. My suggestion would be a Schwartz ETN, the manual one with the dual barrels in parallel. Hey, Dimitri, how you doing? Isn't FPJ's case made of tantalum? Yeah, yeah, it is. It's made of tantalum. That's exactly right. Ed, wait. Does it matter? Should a watch be light or heavy? That's. I think, Ed. I think that's a good question because I was trying on some Lawrence Ferrier watches, and they were very, very light, and they may have been titanium. I'm not sure. But I was at Cellini's on. By the way, too, I was mentioning a bunch of places I'd like to go. Cellini's has everything new and very expensive. That's how come I didn't mention it, but it's a great place. I mean, if you're looking for like a Grunfeld or H. Moser or anything, De Bethune, they'll have it. Okay. Does it matter? Should a watch be light or heavy? To me, I like some heft in it. I'm just looking at what I have on now. This is a Daniel Roth Metropolitan. It's got a pretty decent amount of heft to it. It's steel, and I you get a little more heft in precious metals. You get a little less in titanium. The new MB&F announced today looks incredible. Haven't seen it yet. Hey, Brandon, how you doing? How are things out there? We've been having this like extended spring here. Um, we get all ready for summer heat, and all we've got is this really mild spring. What I like to call Santa Barbara weather. My hometown is Santa Barbara, California, and we just had good weather all the time. Same was true in San Diego. But now here we're just getting this beautiful, beautiful weather, and we get enough rain so stuff doesn't dry out. And it's really, really been scary good. Yeah, 60,000. Whoa, wow. Hi, Lee. How you doing? I'm afraid, Lee. I may have to go to a funeral after this talk. My my maple, my one of my maples, I'm afraid bought the farm, and I don't know how. I don't know. There was I don't know how many of you are familiar with the movie Little Shop of Horrors, but there was this giant plant from outer space, and the guy kept having to feed it and take good care of it and do everything he could to it. Well, that's what I did with with that maple. It didn't make it. My dragon maple made it, though. It's doing great guns. Anyway, sorry about the maple row. I just thought I'd mention it to Lee. Mark, Horology by the Sea is the best place to purchase a watch. Wow, Mark, that's high praise from a guy with the watch that you've got. I love it to death. Exactly. Yeah, that's I tell you, maybe that's the same thing we have with watches. Is there anything? Somebody asked me the other day, and it was a really good question. They said, if you keep a watch in a winder, will it sort of be ready for a service ready more frequently than a watch that you just keep in the case? And the reasoning behind it is the thing is running all the time. And I thought about it. I thought, I bet it would. I keep my moon phase, my H. Moser moon, not Parmigiani Fleurier moon phase in my winder because I don't like having to set moon phases. But I may stop that because that poor watch is just going all the time. HRM. Still hope to make a wood dial someday. Stabilized polished walnut burl. HRM, there was, I may still have it. I had a number of watches with wooden dials. They were all, just sort of quartz ones that were sent to me for review. Um, they're okay. The thing to do, HRM, is, you could, get out your miter saw and sandpaper and go to work on it. Hi, Belina. How you doing? There's a Cartier Maz Mysterious on Chrono 24. Talk about an incredible horology. Cartier is really something special. I would say Cartier is sometimes really something is sometimes really special. Those Mustang Cartier ones were from this. Now that was from the 70s. I realize, but they were sort of, they cheapened the whole line for a while. But yes, they have. It's sort of, Cartier is like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. On the one hand, what's that one they have with the mono pusher, and it has a THA movement? It's unbelievable. And some of the newer ones too are really great. The mystery ones are really cool. I agree, HRM. Yeah, I've seen that one, Lee. The JLC Geographic World Timer. I love that watch. That is, to me, it's sort of like I keep putting off getting a world timer. Um, and probably right now, of all of the ones I know of, that one would be just right. One thing, let me ask you, do any of you have any, what is it? The constant. Oh, something. What's the constant? I don't have one, and there's something constant. What's the name of that? I can't. It's Frederick Constant. That's who I was thinking of. Thanks, Brandon. Frederick Constant. Um, does anybody have any of those? And I was curious what you think about it, because I some years ago at a convention, I think it was the Watch Time show, one of the early ones. Frederick Constant was there, and I ended up near the end of the show sitting with this guy who was their rep, and he offered me some great buys on it, so he wouldn't have to take them home with him. I don't even know if they were supposed to do that, but he did it. And at the time, I wasn't sure about it, but I've seen a lot of them, but I haven't really heard too many people who have them who said, "Oh, they're junk," or "They're really great." Um, Anybody have a Frederick Constant that could comment on that? Hey, Lease Time, how you doing? Cartier mono pusher. Well, it was by THA. I don't know if FP Journe was part of them at the time. He was one of the founders, though, with Halter and the guy who does the Dave Bethune. I forgot his name, but yeah, but it was by THA. Frederick Constant used to make some interesting smartwatch hybrids. They were watches, automatic movement, and smartwatch module on top. The dial had translucent elements. Huh. Yeah, Belina. Yeah, well, see, it was done by THA, and THA was a group that. Hang on a second, I'll get it for you. Okay, it was FP Journe, Dennis Flagrelet, and Vianney Halter. and it stood for Techniques Horlogers Appliquées. Now, that group was formed right before FP kicked off with his own brand. And that watch, um, THA, I don't know to what extent the membership of THA has changed over the years and was finally bought by uh, Bouchard, who are now they were bought by Rolex, and then Rolex dumped them. So I don't know what's happened to them, but yeah, I'm not sure what he did or how much he did, but I do know that he was one of the three founders of THA. But I don't know how much he did with it after because they started it right before he went into his own brand. And so it's hard to know. But if you look at that, anyone who looks at that movement, my God, it's a gorgeous movement. I came very this close into getting one of those different times, but just wasn't interested in a mono pusher. But yeah, that's certainly one that would be on anybody's list to keep an eye out for. Your 7753 nav timer, Breitling, I take it, right? How's Breitling treating you? Um, Let me ask you guys again. Do any of you ever owned a Frederick Constant? Just curious. Nobody has. There was, how come? There's Belina 123. Since you've met FPJ in person, were you able to talk with him in English? Because all his interviews are in French. No. Well, I spoke English. He didn't. What he did at the time, he was. I had taken Belina. I had taken my watch, my resonance with me, and I had a question. I forgot. I had a question about it, and so I took it off and handed it to him. And so he picks it up. This is all these people around and everything. So he reaches in his pocket and pulls out a loop, like like a gangster who always has a gun. I guess FP Jordan always has a loop. So he took it out and I was looking at it, and I'm sitting there. I thought he was going to come back and say this is a fake or something like that. When he finally finished, he said, "This is a great example of it. This is a neat." He really liked it. He said it in French. I think he understands more English than he can speak. I can probably understand written French a lot better than I can hear anything, for that matter. But well, he was a pretty cool guy. With me, I've heard other stories, not so much so. Okay, great. Tuna. I own a common All Garden FC Frederick. There, yeah, it's funny. I don't hear people talk about them too much. So, Tuna, I just for some reason, I there's sort of a subgroup somewhere that I've run into once, and they talk about their Freddies. They have a Freddie, and they really like them. But it's one of those brands that started off, I guess, a couple of Dutch kids in Switzerland started it, and then it was bought by Citizens, and I don't know where it is now or what it's doing, but it was always one of those watches that seemed to be really interesting. I sort of wrote them off when I heard they were using plated gold. Uh, okay, so they use plated gold. not a good idea in my opinion. But a steel one, what the heck? That's should be a little loose with them. Yeah, Brandon, that was the sense I got. It ended up, I got a Frederick, but it ends up in a box. The reason I was asking about, I've seen some with very good looking world timers. I don't know what they're putting in them these days. I would imagine maybe something by Citizen. I don't know their whole line of movements, but originally it did have its own in-house movement by I think the original founders of it. Where it went after that, I have no idea. Thanks, HRM. Something like a Longines. Man, I tell you, Longines is another one of those brands that is, I think, very much undervalued. And yeah, they have an ETA movement, but they have really good ETA movements because they're part of Swatch. No on Freddy Con. Until recently, very classic style that wasn't bad, but not unique. USP seemed to be affordable complication. Okay. Styling was more unique earlier on. Check out some of the older High Life retrograde. Good idea. Frederick Constant is now owned by Citizen. Yeah. You have to be careful with the in-house movement. Apparently, I don't know the standard using silicon. They started using silicon. Citizen. Hmm. I got a feeling that the divide is going to go like that. You're going to have those with the silicon and then those with the craftsman, and that's what we're going to end up with. And apparently, now Rolex was one of the original three who decided to go with silicon. So, and they finally, I think, their land dweller, maybe that was sort of the bugle call. That one and the other one that they had was both of them have the silicon. So, that's okay if they want to have that. I mean, it's I don't know. Hi, Lord Enoch, how you doing? Just bought my first tourbillon as of yesterday. Really happy with my Brigade 3657 in yellow gold. Wow. That sounds like that will change one's bank balance. Glad to hear you like it. Tourbillon. The only tourbillon I have is one that my $100 one. I gotta tell you, it works beautifully. But I think in fact, if you're interested in trading your Brigade for mine, I'll be glad to entertain that notion. Under $1,000, yeah. Wow, that has HRM, that has an Agenor module in it? I didn't know that. That's cool. Oh, I don't know, Mason. Maybe you're right. Maybe they will come with their dreaded ones. I have the 1989 version simply because I got it because I wanted an equation of time, and that was the only one I could afford was the Longines version. Uh, and or they didn't have a Martin Braun available at the time that I wanted one. I got to tell you though, I love my Longines, and it's whatever they did to it. That was made. It was one of those special watches because it was 100th or 150th anniversary of the Longines name, something like that. It was some big anniversary one, and they wanted to make a big deal about it. I got to tell you, that watch is just wonderful to have. But it's sort of a special one, so I don't know whether it would be sort of I don't know the sort of their common ones, but I'd like to find out about it. Hi, Morris. Sorry if this has been different. How did you find your resonance? What did you buy its price and take it and you sold it? Okay, let me start with a couple things. If you're thinking of buying a resonance watch, there's better information on the physics of it than the horology of it. All right. Um, when Dominic and I made our sort of our when we made our resonance, I was getting more from the physics of it, so I was able to put these two movements in to the point where they entered into resonance, and it was really cool. And the my FPJ resonance, I love that watch, and I used to wear it. It kept great time. It was the thing that was amazing to me when you set it. You set the hours and minutes, and then the seconds. There's a little button you push, and the seconds go up to the 12 o'clock. And so when to get it going, I mean to get it reset. And then after I don't know how many hours, you go back and you look at it, and then you see the seconds, no matter which direction they're right in coordination with each other. That I think is part of the resonance. Now, the main purpose that I understand for resonance in a watch, it keeps out all of the other resonance. Okay. One of the problems with watches is that everything else going on around it can sort of counter resonance, if you will. By having a resonance watch, you you enter into the resonance of the two movements moving together, of the two balance wheels in resonance, and so it's that. So yes, I got it. I got it in on 47th Street, by the way, where Federico told me not to go, and I got a good buy on it. This is back in God, I think it was in 2016. I sold it earlier this year for about 10 times of what I paid for it. So it's, I mean, like, it was, I, let me tell you the one and only downside of it was that you have these two small dials. Now, it, it was very hard to tell the time at a glance. This one's got a, whoops, you can see it. Ah, um, most of my watches, they got a big dial and it's easy to see at a glance. The Resonance watch wasn't. It was you'd have to really take a look at it. But God, what a wonderful watch that was! If nothing else, you could turn it over and look at it. But I used to wear it, as a regular rotation. So yeah, I love that watch. But it's really funny. A number of things led to my having to sell it. Uh, First of all, some distracted driver creamed my car, and so I had to trade it in on a new one. And good God, mine was 10 years old, and on a new one, the difference in the price was just fantastic. So I had to wiped out my savings on this new car, and so I had to fill it up. So I thought, well, now's the time to sell my residence, and I did. And unfortunately, but that's the way it goes. Okay, I don't know if that answered your question or not, but that's my story. Um, Holy smoke, Goldfinger, those are really nice ones. Yeah, I know Cellini has Gronfeld. I saw I met the two brothers there some years ago when they first came out with the with their repertoire, and cool guys. They're just cool. That's all I can say about them. Hey, Quarters, I I didn't notice anything nasty about on my retrograde video, but thanks anyway. Oh wow, HRM. Hey, I tell you something that was um when Swatch bought Blank Pond. When they bought Blank Pond, they got Frederick Piguet with it. Okay, mainly because at the time I believe Frederick Piguet owned Blank Pond, and at one time I think actually Blank Pond owned Frederick Piguet. There's Swatch renamed him from being Frederick Piguet. They then became called uh, something Blank Pond watchmakers or something like that. And that now, if they stick in the silicon, there goes any kind of tradition that you might have. Oh wow, it's hard. It's sad to hear that they. Oh man. Anyway, Belinda, going back to your FP question, let me just say, oh, you want a platinum CS Havana or a platinum rose gold or a rose gold octo automatic? Wow. Well, I'll tell you first of all, if he's still here, it was here earlier. Mark J has the gold um, FPJ Chronometre Blue. That's a good story in and of itself. How he ended up with that, and sort of the route that he had to take, and he loves it. Now a platinum one, my Chronometre Blue is platinum, and I can't tell the difference between platinum, white gold, and steel. I like it though. Okay, because I know it's platinum and it's got a heft to it. You'll get a little extra weight with platinum, even over gold, but not much over gold, but maybe noticeable over steel. I don't know. It's titanium on the blues, whether it's heavy or not. Hey, Michael, how you doing? What did it cost you to service your FP Journ resonance? I think it was close to a couple thousand, Michael. Uh, I believe I think it was that. It was like 1,500 to 2,000. I only had it serviced once. I Shortly after I bought it, about a year after I got it, I sent it in for service. It was really funny. That was another story they had. They had a hurricane, and I found out where the service was in Miami on Google Maps, and I was looking at it and looking at where the hurricane was going and whether or not they were going to wash away the service center with my watch. Um, but they did a fantastic job. So that like I said, it's one of those watches I hated to sell, but sometimes it did quite well. Um, I also sort of to patch up the scar. I got the Monégasp Roger Dubuis, and then I got the Vacheron Constantin Mercator Just was, they were just a fraction of what I got for it. Then I filled up our sagging bank account right before we spent had to buy all this other stuff. Hey, Junior, how you doing? Morris, good to see you. Ah, do you like the Havana dial on the Chronometre Surveying? It's my favorite dial is the Havana. I love that dial. I really do. That's my very favorite dial. It's just something about it. Um, no, that's a beautiful dial. I don't know what it takes to get one these days in terms of waiting list. Um, you know, John D, just as a point of confidence, would you hire a non-degree holder over a degree holder, HRM? Same for your chronomatic certificates, confidence of the buyer. It depends what the job was, you know. If I had a beater, it would be one thing. Um, there's I I have a lot of friends who don't have a college degree, but they have a specialty and they're really good at it. And so it's sort of like what do I need a degree for? I think a college degree is important for rounding a person out. I mean, it's I could think of some who could use one just for that, but um, it all depends. And as far as a certificate is concerned, um, yeah. Well, hang on. It's not so much the certificate, it's what is involved in the certificate. Wow, rats. There we go. Let me, the, the important thing is not the certificate, it's it's what it's gone through. Let me see if I can focus that thing. Okay. What this represents 3 weeks of testing for all of these different things that a watch has to go through to be certified as chronometer. Okay, so if if it passes all of these tests and you can see that I hope there it is. You can see either they have from 0, which is perfect, to -3, which is the limit. And if it's within that range, then you can get your certification as a chronometer. This was from my first Larique watch, our Etude #1. But I get my drawers keep filling up there. Anyway, so as far as the certificate's concerned, it's not so much the certificate, it's what the certificate says you're going through. One of the coolest ones that I would like to get someday is to have the one done by Combe in France. They have an observatory, and they use the observatory for some measurement of the stars' movements in your watch. Okay, and that was how originally they certified as a chronometer, was with the observatory. But the thing that's neat about the one, if you have it certified at Combe, they stamp it with a serpent's head. Um, Laurent Ferrier has his watches certified there. So just a piece of trivia. Oh, hey, there you are, Mark. Yeah, Mark's had that watch. That is there's a wonderful story behind that too. Hey, John D. All things equal, you'd be a strange hiring manager to ignore the certificate holder over a non-certificate. It conveys the ability to complete something, a standard met, uh, some for watches. Yeah, John. No, I agree. I'm not disagreeing with you. I've been, God knows, I've been on enough hiring personnel committees to go through that. And one of the things is that the degrees, you look at the certificate and who's doing the certification. So there's really two elements behind that. COSC is pretty much the standard. I like the one that the Horological Society of New York, the guy they have doing theirs is some famous watchmaker guy. So I like that a lot too. Michael, been wearing an E2 every day for last week. Uh, it hasn't missed a beat. Hey, Michael, if you want, you can send it in to Horological Society of New York, and they'll run it through uh, and you can get it certified as a chronometer. My first one, I still don't have my E2 number two back yet. I can hardly wait. HRM, I don't agree. It's more than just a score. I think it says that I mean, for 3 weeks, you test a watch for 3 weeks and put it through all of this stuff. Yeah, it does tell you something. I think I'm not saying that you can't, really work with a watch and tune a watch to get it to to the level of certification, nor will necessarily certified watches keep uh, their certification level of performance, forever. You know, maybe the silicon ones will. What fun is that, though? Uh, yeah, no, I think if you get one that's certified, it's better. Like they're what, two, I think, five grades that both Salida and ETA have. The bottom grade is what they just call the standard. Then there's the elaborate. Then there's a top grade. And then above that, there's the certified COSC certified grade. And so there's something, I guess, there may not be so much in the actual stuff that goes into the movement as there is in the tuning of the movement. I don't know. It's like I'm a pretentious watchmaker, and I know people have about they will how much uh, how much knowledge one would have from that, but uh there's a I don't know. You gotta have fun with watches. You know something though, I will say this, both Ed and John D. Um, I don't worry too much about if I get a watch, whether it's certified chronometer or not. My Urban Jurgensen is not certified, and it keeps perfect time. So does my Fabergé, Fabergé with the Frederick Constant movement. That thing keeps perfect time. So neither one of them is certified. uh, Paying more for certification, I can understand. Just like paying more for a Geneva seal. The reason Geneva seals cost more isn't because you're paying for a seal, but they have to go through all of this testing they have for it to qualify for a Geneva seal. Whether that's worth it or not, I don't know. It is to some. Certainly, Roger Dubuis thinks so. His watches, and so does Vacheron Constantin. That they make a big deal about that. Even Chopard has some with that, but not a lot of watches have it anymore. They used to all go to Patek Philippe, but now they don't have any of them. They got their PP seal. That cracks me up. Sorry about that. I agree, John. Yeah, this is the same thing. The standards that the Horological Society of New York have, plus they have one more that's above the COSC standards. So yeah, it's true, but by the same token, that doesn't mean they're going to keep that. I mean, you wear a watch a lot, it's going to get it's going to come off the standards, perhaps. Bellina 123. Yeah, I'm not going to argue that it Bellina. Oh, gee, what a dilemma. Should I get the Havana dial in platinum or gold? I, they do look good in both. Something that the guy William, who's the main guy at FP Journe in New York, he's been there forever. I mean, their managers come and go, and all of these people change, but William is a constant there. And he's got one like mine. He has the FP Journe with the platinum, and he has a cognac colored band. And I thought, that looks really good. And I didn't expect it to look really good, but it looks great with it. So if you're getting the FP Journe with the Havana dial on it, uh, and you're getting it in platinum, I would also recommend the cognac band for it. I like the one that Mark has though, and so he knows it. So he knows that if I'm around, if I ever come visit Mark, he's got to watch that watch. Keep an eye on it. Yeah, Meso, that's what I was thinking. What a rough choice. It's like sometimes I I like gold, I like platinum, I like white gold, I like yellow gold, and I like good steel too. Um, some of my best watches are steel, like Langenheim, for example. That's all steel. The gold part is in the back. On it has they have a finish that's done with a brushed gold on something that really looks cool. It's a German. It's not German silver, but something like that. I think. Hey, there it is. um, Tusaka retrograde for sale on Chrono 24. If that's the one I think it is, HRM, it's is that the one that has sort of the one on top of the other? I think it won an award for the Petite Aiguille or something like that. That's an interesting watch. Somehow it's not the most attractive watch. So, hey Duncan, how you doing? I'm okay for de facto bespoke watch makers skip any certification. But for the mass-produced watches, it merely signals a minimum competency level. They also can be near error-free as well. Oh, really? I didn't know that. Glashütte originally used German silver for their movements. I didn't know that. That's really interesting stuff, guys. I have these sessions not to tell you guys stuff. I, I come to learn as well. I like all this new stuff you guys have. Let's see. Oh, we found out we have our watches. We're now getting hit with the tariffs. I was hoping that we wouldn't have to pay the tariff on our watches, the ones from Switzerland, but I was wrong. So we get hit with a 10% tariff. Now I know a 10% tariff sounds like nothing to the guys in the EU and in Great Britain where they have those higher ones. And they sound ridiculous to a lot of guys in Asia who don't have any of them. So when we send watches to Asia, uh, we don't have to worry about the bands and a lot of other stuff that we have to concern ourselves with. Even with an ostrich strap. Now, an ostrich, a farm-raised ostrich, is no more an endangered species than a cow whose life is going to end up on a burger at McDonald's. But and we check that it's not part of CITES. It's not none of the endangered stuff. But man, what we had to go through, we had to get this special license so that we could import them into the U.S. That's the way it goes. Thoughts on Chinese watchmaker Logan Qual building a new double detent escapement movement and not placing a patent on it so it can be further developed. Wow, I sort of come from the open source land of software development, so I like that idea. Yeah, there's I'm sort of working with somebody right now on a watch that we're thinking of getting the Geneva seal on and doing some other things. And one of the things we have could be patented. And to me, I don't care about a patent. It's really funny. When I used to write all these books, this this one guy was saying, well, he didn't think it was right that people should have copyrights and stuff like that. And it's really funny. I said, oh, okay, they that's the way it goes. So one day this guy comes to me, he finds something that had taken from one of my books. I took it for word and put it up. And he says, aren't you going to do something about that? I says, what? There was like nobody died. you know, like I said, I'm very open source. That was my notion. So if somebody's building a double detente, that is great because that makes it available to all watchmakers and people going to use it. The one that I'm sort of working on right now with somebody else who knows what they're doing is something that you talked about the patent. And the funny thing about a patent, if you don't get it, somebody else can get it and make you pay for it. So that would be, perhaps you could patent it like as an open source. I know that can be done somehow, and maybe that's what'll happen. But the pace we're going right now is really slow because I have all of these other projects I'm trying to get done. Neglected Acadian? Why is your Twitter account suspended? Because I don't know. I never. I used to use Twitter a lot, and with some software stuff back and forth, and simply ignored it for several years now, and then it turned into X. So I guess I suspended it. I didn't even know who was around to suspend. I could have said something that somebody didn't like, and they may have boxed it for that. I have no idea. Anyway, going back to the Chinese watchmaker that John brought up and making a double detent escapement movement. I think it's very interesting because it furthers horology, and I think as collectors, that's a very important thing for us to know about. I know some saying, "Oh, how come you don't like silicone hairsprings? Don't they further?" Yeah, they sort of take it off into another path. I'll put it that way, but not furthering it. Open source does, and they suspended my Twitter account. Go good for them. I didn't even know it. Um, okay, let's see what else is going on. The guys out in the boy, I tell you, we've been having storms. People in sort of the Southwest and sort of in the Midwest, man, they've been getting global warming with a hammer and the whole climate change thing. Maybe they'll change their mind about it. Um, Hi, Morris. Are there any of streams when you talk more in depth about the Renaissance movement? Yeah, I have a video that I did on that, and it's a recorded video I did, Morris. Let me see if I can find it for you, and I will put it right up there so you can take a look at it. 1 second. I did some long time ago. Yep, I did one. This is back in 2020. Hang on, let me give you the link on it. Now, I had one where I I made a resonance saying, let me tell you, if you want to find out about resonance, turn to physics. That's what I did. And it was really helpful on that. There's a link I put in there for the thing I did on resonance. Yeah, Miss Sun, you're right. Not only are they cheaper, they're more stable. I'll put it that way. They're a lot more stable than the traditional ones. Uh, the stability means you can't change them. You know, they're both stable and rigid at the same time. Hi, 3D now. How you doing? How are your flags and coffee? I'm with that. Coffee and flags. There is also an emerging community of CAD designers that modify ETA movements. One guy is working on a Maltese stopworks. Oh, wow. Wow, HRM. That is interesting. That is very interesting. You know, the thing about the Maltese stopworks, that is another type of constant force. And it's almost like a remontoire. Hi, Zubul. Silicon Airs being suspended your 20 account. Maybe that's what it was, Zubul. Okay, there's that big mouth doesn't like our silicon. Let's 86 him. And he did. Oh, okay. Yeah. Hey, Belina. Yeah, I have some older FPJ, and you're right. I haven't made one um in a while. You know, one of the reasons is that they became so hard to get and very difficult to get. And but yeah, that would be worthwhile doing another one on it. I agree. That would be something because I love those watches. They're my one of my very favorite brands. Hey, Quarter Eyes. Could you choose only one H Moser or Parmigiani Fleury? Which one would you choose and why? Oh boy. Um, if I could only choose one H Moser. Oh, H. Moser is easy. I choose the one with the, I know this may sound weird, for a person who doesn't like chronographs, but I would choose that one with the Agengraph movement in it. That's the one I would like to have. The Streamliner, it was one of their first Streamliners that they had, and it had the Agengraph in it. That would be my H. Moser, but that thing is $40,000. Another one I really like from H. Moser is their Heritage GMT. That's a nice one too. Just about any of them in red. I like those. You know, again, that's really hard. I'll tell you on the Parmigiani, there are two that I really would love to have. One of them is sort of that minute Rattrapant. It's a very unusual watch, and it hides the hand, and then it brings it out, but it's sort of like a Rattrapant GMT or something. It's a very unusual watch. I love that watch. The one though that I would like to get if I could figure out a way to afford it is the one that won the prize for the best travel watch some years ago, and it was a toric version of the hemispheres. Now I have the Tonda version of the hemispheres, but I like the toric version. But they're expensive, so those are my two. Corduroy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. HRM. That's a great example. In music, resonance is used a lot. Yeah, now there's both of the ones, in fact, all of those I mentioned, I think are pretty hefty prices. That's how come I don't have them. um, yeah, Jizbu, I don't know how to pronounce your name, and I'm sorry, I'll try. But would harmonics be an example of musical resonance? They may be, I just don't know. It would be fun to, I mean, it'd be a thing they want to look up. Oh, good. I'm glad you like that, John D. Last week I saw the Ludovic Ballstead upside down. Oh man, I really like that watch. That's a kind of horology that just cool. It's a cool movement. That's why I like Jean-Marc Vitorec's stuff so much. He comes up with, I mean, when you take a look at his retrogrades, the thing that is so cool about him is the simplicity of it. You can have some, Rube Goldberg thing going on with all of the stuff happening to get a retrograde, or you can use like Vitorek as simply use a snail cam, or a double snail cam. Um, yeah, I like Rube Goldberg though, just for the fun of it. You want more disassemble and service. I tell you, I'm sort of what you might call a Humpty Dumpty watchmaker. I could take them apart and never get them back together again. Um, yeah, no, yeah, I don't know. I think in order, to have something by the Naked Watchmaker, that I would like to have him do it. This is uh, Peter Speak. And his Naked Watchmaker. That would be. I don't know who would want to part with their the Reek watch long enough for him to do it though. Just mashed letters. Just say Z. Okay. Okay, Z. Found a good article when reaching resonance materials for acoustic guitars. There you go. Moser did rose gold and Andoy's Fume Pioneer, HMC 800 movement. Those sound like a neat one too. Hey, Von Cruel, how you doing? Back to test new name. Zinc. That'll work. I think Z is sort of cool. Be the Z man. Listen, guys, I hate to bug out as soon as Von Cruel got here, but it's we've been yakking for over an hour, and I don't want to get in trouble with the person, the one who wields the frying pan. So I'm going to have to scoot. Thanks, you guys, for showing up. And again, this was sort of a off the cuff, irresponsible, unplanned, and so forth. Take care. Have a great week. And hey, Saturday mornings at 8 o'clock and at 4 o'clock New York time, we also have these live streams. So you're not lace Von Cool. This was sort of a spontaneous thing. Take care, guys.